Good morning, everyone. This is my first conference with Spark Plus, so I'm looking forward to it. Magnetic Resources listed in 2007, and it's been very active in the gold space over the last 4 years at Laverton in West Australia. This is a very short summary, but the company is unique in a number of ways. It has a very tight capital structure. It has very high net worth investors. We've discovered 2 shallow deposits, and unusually they start from surface. The Hawks's 9 deposit is 3 kilometres long and it dips only 20 degrees, so it's very close to surface. The second deposit is called Lady Julie, and Lady Julie is the emerging deposit, and we recently announced a very high and thick intersections, including 28 metres at 4.5 grams from surface, which again is unusual. Our average depth of our drilling is only 65 metres, so there's scope for the depth, and that's part of what we're talking about today. And basically, we've got about 15 kilometres of gold targets that we're exploring, and we're next door to 3 operating mines, which introduces the potential M&A, and that's something I'll talk to you about as well. Okay, so this is the share graph. You can see we've done extremely well. I think we're around 12 cents about 2.5 years ago. Now we're close to $1.65. There's 218 million shares. We've kept the structure extremely tight, considering we listed in 2007. Our market cap's around 350 million. We're about 5.5 million in the bank. Look, this company has some very high net worth investors, and they do come from Singapore. So the top 3 out of the 4 are from Singapore, and the top 2 are from Singapore. So they're long-term investors that have been there, and they obviously like what's been happening. So the top 4 hold around 45%, and the top 20 own about 78%. So you can see it's very, very tightly held. Okay, so where are we? We're in West Australia. Our project is about 900, about 1,000 kilometres from Perth, but it's about an hour-and-a-half flight. We're north of Kalgoorlie, and the area called Laverton in Leonora is well known for some very large gold deposits, probably second in size to Kalgoorlie, which hopefully everyone's heard of. Our land position, we have 260 square k's in this bluey colour. Our neighbours are Goldfields, who have the Wallaby mine, very big mine, 7 million ounces, and they process their ore at Granny Smith. To the west, we have Dacian, who have got a mine at Jupiter. And to the south, we have Anglo Ashanti, who have a 10 million ounce deposit. All these companies have been operating for a long time, and they're very interested in what we're finding, and we'll discuss that further. Okay, so in terms of infrastructure, there's a sealed road that comes from Kalgoorlie to Laverton. There's another road called the Old Laverton Road, which is used by the miners as well. There's a gas pipeline, and there's air services about 4 times a week. So even though it's a fair way away, it's quite accessible. Okay, so this is a bit of a technical part of the presentation, but I'll try to make it as easy to understand as I can. We have these, all the 3 mines to the south have these intrusions that come to surface, and they also have these flat load systems, and these load systems carry most of the gold. Some of these deposits have been mined down at a kilometre depth, both Wallaby and Sunrise, so they've been there for a long time. And from our point of view, we were trying to see whether we had anything similar to this on our ground. So firstly, this is our Hawks Nest 9 deposit, and it's 3 kilometres in length, so it's substantial in size. every one of those purple dots is an intersection greater than 2 grams per tonne. So there's a significant amount of drilling done here. In fact, we've put down 1,260 RC holes totaling close to 80,000 metres. So some serious amount of work's been done here. So this deposit actually outcrops, so it means it starts on the surface and it dips gently about 20 degrees to the east. So each time we've drilled it, we haven't actually closed it off. And then to the south, we have this cross structure going to the northeast. So that intersection area is called the central thickened zone. And that's where we see similarities to our neighbours, where we get these stacked loads like this. And those stacked loads are important because they give you an idea that what you're dealing with has got great depth potential. So that was important for us to understand. And now that we understand that, we're busily trying to close this off. So we've been drilling it in the northeast direction and it's still open. As you go north of the central thickened zone, you generally see 1 or 2 loads, but you can see they all come to surface. And further north, it's actually flat. And that's probably part of the reason why people are finding a lot of gold nuggets on the surface, because the actual load systems are actually, they outcrop. So, so this whole area, starting from the top to the bottom here, will eventually be a giant open cut. And open cut mines have very low cost because you're not removing the barren overburden. So this is a very important difference that we've found. 89 was a surface deposit. At the same time, our new one, Lady Julie, is the same. So we'll talk about that one. So Lady Julie, in this map here, you can see that's the Hawke's Nest 9 deposit, about 3 k's in long. And Lady Julie sits up here. So it's about 3 k's to the northeast. So we made, there was some old drilling on the southern point here, and we started some drilling to the north and we hit these fantastic intersections. You can see them up here, 41 at 2.6, 28 at 4.5, and there's a lot more than that. That opened up this whole area to the north. So we've actually got 2 RC rigs on site trying to drill this out as quickly as possible. And we're testing it over a total area of probably 4 kilometres now. So we've tested the southern 2 kilometres and we've published some of the results, and we're about to test the northern area. So any deposit that's greater than 2 or 3 kilometres has substantial potential for great resource size. And equally, we're examining the depth potential because a lot of these mines go to, kilometre depths. So we'll be investigating both the lateral going north-south at Lady Julie and the depth extent. So if we go back to this slide, hopefully you can see some of these intersections, and you can see they're starting to shape up, and also to the north. So there's areas that we're finding gold, and you can see the yellow dots. All those yellow dots, we've been following up, drilling those areas. So eventually we're hoping we'll be able to link this whole system together. But this area, we actually haven't closed it off to the north or south or east or at depth. So it's got great potential for for getting much bigger. So you can see that program of drilling 42 holes for 4,000 metres. That's literally finishing, well, I think by tomorrow. So that whole amount of drilling, and we expect to get results every 2 weeks from our drilling. So there'll be a lot of results coming through. So going back to this slide actually has shown up these orange areas, and these orange areas are what we call the thrust position. So with gold, a lot of the times the gold comes from great depth, and often it's difficult to understand the geometries at depth. What we did, we did a shallow seismic survey, which covered probably 20 to 25 square kilometres. And out of that came these linear zones, which are the thrust positions that come to the surface. And what obviously we can see there's connectivity because they're between these two thrusts over here and here. But we're also investigating these areas away from these areas that we've drilled. So a lot of these areas are undercover, and which means you can't really see what's going on. This might be drainage cover or something like that. And we will be the first people to have explored in these areas. So as we've got 2 rigs doing this work, but we'll have a further rig drilling out these other areas, obviously looking for large deposits. And the chances, I think, are quite good. And we'll be seeing results from that as well over the next few weeks to a month. Okay, for the people who are interested in seismic, this is a seismic section. And you can see that that's the top, and that's about 2 kilometres down. On the western side, you can see the reflectors are near horizontal. But when you get into this thrust zone, you can see suddenly all the directions are going about 20 degrees to the east. And these individual thrusts are the orange lines that we've shown up on the map, the previous map. So we have thrusts at Hooks Nest 9, and we also have them at Lady Julie. So this map under here gives you like an interpretation of the seismic, and you can see these thrusts coming to the surface. So it's important that we recognise these thrusts because they're the ones that are bringing the gold up from great depth. Okay, so in terms of our directors, I'm the managing director, operate out of Perth, West Australia. We have about 3 to 4 people in the field working away with all the drilling and sampling. Eric is a banker in Singapore. He's quite a busy boy, and he's the chairman. And Mr. Chan lives in Singapore. He's a businessman. He's got an interest in a chemical plant in mainland China. And Julian lives in West Australia, and he's an ex-accountant who's worked with a number of mining companies. Okay, so in summary, we talked about the potential size of what we're dealing with, the very large systems. The other thing that we haven't mentioned is the M&A. We'll be releasing our data sets probably in December to our neighbours. Our neighbours are very interested in potentially doing some sort of deal, but obviously they need the information so they can understand. Concurrently, we'll be putting out our own work on the resources as well. So it'd be a very interesting time ahead, and we're in a position where we're finding brand new deposits in an area where the mines are in short supply. So much so that one of them's only got probably a 2-year mine life, and the other company's only operating 2/3 of the month. So they all need new ore supply. So that's most of the story. We do have a project west of Laverton where there's a number of intersections along this shear zone. There's a bit of interest in this from one of the producers near Leonora. And last but not least, we have these nickel palladium tenements actually very close to Perth. And these areas, I'm not sure whether you're aware, there was a nickel palladium discovery by a company called Chalice at a place called Julimar. And we picked up these 4 tenements on the back of the aeromagnetic interpretation, and we have access to one of them. So we'll be doing some work here. If you didn't know, there was a massive pegging rush on the back of this Julimar discovery, and 30,000 square kilometres of land has been picked up. So we're part of that pegging rush, and there's a lot of activity and money being spent. But Obviously, that's not our main game, but that's pretty interesting area. And you can see one of the projects called Benjabering has similar orientations and structure to the main Julimar complex. So we'll be trying to get onto this ground to do some initial work as well. So that's the talk. I'm not sure whether I'm early or late, but thank you very much.